Alrighty, this is Kenshi 101, episode 22, and we are in the swamp. We traveled from Morn to go through the bone fields and high bone fields and get to the swamp. And coming through here went the long way to hit some of these villages and start collecting some stuff. Uh, Lots and lots of hashish. Lots of it. We also collect Stubbs, who is a mercenary, who's pretty decent, and Green, who is a very, very good crossbower. Rest of this stuff, not so much, but he's a good crossbower. So we just left Shark. We don't want to go to this one. We do want to go to some of these other mud towns of this village. I think there's one up here as well. To get some more fun hashish. Something else we might want to do is it is day 40. Locked. Alright. Cat could come over here real quick. Global pacifier. Okay. And oh, Kihaku. The tech hunters. Interesting. So you need to come over here and talk to that guy. And we're getting attacked. Alright. Let's see. These two are the ones I'm worried about the most. But I think they already dealt with, it's probably like a spider or something. Hello. So, I just want to see, yep, new backpack. That's what I was hoping for. 2 of them. Alright. Okay. Open. Waha. Alright, what else you got? So, he's got some dust coats. He's got a black plate, which is definitely getting added. He's got a high grade dust coat, but it's light leather armor. It doesn't give you all that much protection, but it does give you a lot of coverage. It's not that much protection. It's not horrible for martial arts, but I wouldn't use it for anything else. And even then, it's like, eh. I do want to get is a one of the metal. Ooh, chain hive turrets are so hard to find. Yeah, I don't think there's anything else he has that we need right now. We have all these other maps. Alright. So, added one location to the map, which is over here in Shun. Then I can send you back in here. Let's see, they killed something. Yeah, it looks like a spider. Hit. Alright. So we got some more backpacks that'll help. Also got some armor that's not ideal for an archer, but is decent for someone like Stubbs. And we need to come here. There is a swamp down. We are more interested in that guy. Achilles, come talk to that guy. Alrighty. And I think there's a hut over here. That one? It is. Hello. Alright, anything else we need? Game is paused. Simple rug. Fucking huge. Okay. Looks like Stubbs is getting harassed by a spider. Sure. You wanna go straight here? Sure, why not? And then I'll go north. I'm not in a rush. That one should be empty. Inventory. So armor, right? And I don't have any weapons put in here. I do have general. More backpacks. Alright. So that'll last a while. I could get some more food, but I think just use that. Any other tech to do? We get tech level 4. That'll take a while. Based fabric. Okay. Imprisonment. We do want that. We need a lot of like battery stuff. Alright. Not super concerned about books and such at the moment. Like how many times books do we have or whatever. Oh, that spider somewhere. No. Whoops. Trying to go row beat up on him. There it goes. What do you know? They still exist. Trade. Nope, I want you to, yeah. Great. Alright. Drugs will make you happy. Whatever you say, Boomer. Alrighty. I don't care about that. I just want the money. I'm just here for the money. Almost completely full back. There should be a that one? No. Oh, is there not a shop in this one? I think this is the one that doesn't have a shop. And there is one up here somewhere, I think. Yeah, right. Fucking ninjas. Tackle. Well, they're going down pretty quick. So we got tuning. So these guys, the stats aren't amazing. They're better than the average black, and but they're not like amazing enough for me to want to grab them all. And this is, yeah, tuning. Though he does have one left now. Probably moves it pretty fast, but he is not a bug boy, I don't think. Grab all of them? No, there's one here. Alright. Anyone's, oh, another one. So if I remember right, a Genin is not as good as a Chunin. Right? Genin a lower class, and then this Chunin. And then with the higher class. And then above Chunin would be fuck. I don't even remember. What's above Chunin? I used to know this. Whatever. Go to rat. Something a lot of people like the myth of the ninja, and like it's not really talked about is ninja were more spies, like the CIA. They weren't really like warriors. It's usually like I'm gonna like spy on people, I'm gonna like scout, I'm gonna maybe assassinate every now and then. They weren't uh like special forces or whatever. Ghost recon. The more CIA, NSA than Ghost Recon and what are the Tom Clancy Splinter Cell. That's it. It is late enough. It's past midnight that the hideout no one's gonna be selling stuff right now. There, I believe, is a big shop over here, but we can't do anything about that until tomorrow. In game tomorrow. Anywho. Saw an interesting conversation today about Shadiversity, who, if you know, if you're in the sword world, you've heard of him, and 50-50, you either think he's amazing or uh, think he's an idiot. And I don't think he's an idiot, but I think he gets a lot of stuff wrong and sort of very opinionated, but sort of treats his opinions like fact and doesn't do enough research. But like there's like 99% of the stuff it's like I don't really care. And the one video I've ever seen that's actually made me care is he did a video long time ago. Now it's like years about what was that? Those ninjas? Those are ninjas. A long time ago, he did a video about two-headed axes and why he thought they were stupid. And there's a ton of points in it that I still like remember almost the whole like everything in the video. It's just like so frustrating to hear this because he mentioned that hey, there are these they mostly weren't used in Europe but there were these ones that were used. Well, he didn't say they were used, that he thinks are only aesthetic in the Arab world, Indo-Persia and whatever, Tabirs or Tabir Jin. As you can probably tell, my Arabic isn't great. Tabarzin. If you know how to pronounce that, let me know. It's Persian, so Farsi. Farsi. If you know how to say that, let me know. My Arabic is pretty garbage. Anywho, uh, I've handled two of these, and one of them was a double-headed one, and luckily the one I have handled is one where, like antique ones, and the one I've handled is one where it's something that was actually used, and it weighs 1.6 pounds total, shaft and head, right? So 1.6 pounds. So for reference, my 1796 clone, I got an Austrian one, which is a cavalry saber, right? It weighs 2.2 pounds, and it feels significantly worse in the hand than this axe, which is not to say that it feels horrible, it's just that the axe feels great in the hand because it's very, very light, despite being a two-headed axe that's like, people think, oh, this is big, super heavy thing, but like, no, no, it's not. It's really not. Like, not the one that we're like actually used. Because how thick do you need to be? About the same as the thickness of a sword for this type of axe, but it would just have a very wide head. But it'd be very thick near the shaft. It'd be thicker than a sword would be near a shaft, and it'd taper to like a couple millimeters thick, like even like a few inches away from the edge. It'd be like a few millimeters thick, and it'd like a very like the tapered's like a very the angle of it is like very narrow, much more narrow than any of my swords. Okay, let's say not any of my swords. I have some African ones that have a similar taper, and I have pipe back blades that have similar taper, but they have other things that come along with that. The African ones, they're really, really low quality. Uh, the spear is better, but the spear, I do have a very thin leaf spear, but the spear has a very thick central ridge to give it rigidity. And if the edges bend a little bit, it doesn't really matter all that much. Uh, Same thing with the pipe axe. You have a very thick pipe that gives you the rigidity, and then you have the thin blade coming out attached to the pipe. So the pipe keeps it from bending too much. Plus spring steel. I'm pretty sure the spear isn't spring steel. It's probably not even like very good quality steel out of Africa. Uh, and for its period, like even today, Africa doesn't really have metal works. Like they melt down like already processed steel. They don't like process raw iron out of the ground into steel. Uh they just literally don't have that technology in the whole fucking continent. It's kind of crazy. Uh for the because like historically, why would they why would they need it? Because they could always just import stuff from other places, and they never really had this industrialization that much of the rest of the world has. Like when you read about like the industrialization period in like the 19th century and such, this still hasn't happened in much of Africa. Like much of Africa is still very, very like tribal land and very like similar to what they had like forever ago, but with lots of newer technology imported. But like so much of the stuff isn't industrialized, and it's like kind of crazy. Like ve- it's very like I find it kind of insane. It's like you need to do this to like have like an economy in a country. Like you need to build all this infrastructure. You need to like do all these things, and they just haven't. And it's like, what's going on? But anywho, for the longest time, they would import, well, for swords especially, they'd import swords. A lot from Egypt and other places in the Arab world, a lot from European traders. And so, like, all over Africa, you'll find European blades or Arabic blades. Like, a couple of my African blades have, like, Arabic prayers etched in them. Oh, pretty cool. But, anywho, big old tangent. Big old tangent. Point is, uh, axe tapers a lot. The axe head was very light, and one of the really cool things about how like a double-headed axe like that is you could have it like two edges. With if you're out using like a double-headed axe for cutting down trees, it's useful because one edge gets dull, you use the other edge, right? And if you're constantly using axe as wood, that's going to happen. And some people say, well, it's less useful in battle well, Shad says it's less useful in battle because you're either hitting armor and it's going to get dull, or you're hitting not armor and it's not going to get dull, but you could just have a pick on one side and just never hit armor with the blade and then only hit armor with the other side, which um, that's something where battles are extremely chaotic. You know what I mean? It's like very chaotic. It's like a level of control that's like, eh. Secondly, um, different types of armor exist, and there are types of armor where even like a very wide blade axe could penetrate, mainly chainmail. Chainmail versus an axe is chainmail's gonna lose, and the type of axe we're talking about here was primarily used in Indo-Persia, with the primary, like the highest grade armor there was what in English would translate into the four mirrors. So some of them had four plates. You'd have the front plate, a back plate, and two side plates, and they'd come together and they'd form the four quote unquote mirrors and the side plates would be under your armpits to like around where your hips are. The front plate would cover your chest, the back plate would cover your back, and they'd be connected with chainmail. With chainmail covering your arms and all over the rest of your body. And then you'd have a helmet on, and sometimes you'd have metal bits on your uh, forearms, so like a vambrance, so this is probably the wrong term. But you'd have that on, and it'd all be, covered in chainmail connecting all the pieces. So there'd be lots of parts on your body covered only with chainmail, and there'd be lots of parts that have this piece of plate over it. And because there was so much chainmail in construction, it wasn't all that expensive compared to like a modern, like at the time, European plate armor. It was a lot cheaper to make, and it took less time to make and less skill to make, which is a very big deal if you need to make like a ton of them, right? And if it takes less time, it takes less skill. That's a big deal. Oh wait, I need to buy stuff from him. I was like, I did. Anywho, yeah. So, uh, that was the primary armor of that area of that period, and it worked. Like you could use it, like it was very common. And let me rephrase that. That's the primary high level armor. There was also lots of like lower level armor that was used. So like just chainmail with like a helmet and shield. Shields were extremely popular. Uh, you could have like various forms of chain where sometimes also, like the plate's not always four plates. Sometimes you have more than four, sometimes you have less than four. Sometimes the plate would be like a square or a rectangle. It'd be like a circle. Sometimes you'd have lots of little plates. Or you'd have like a big plate in the center of your chest and lots of little plates around it, connected by chainmail. So you could kind of move around a bit, but you'd be able to have more movement, but still have the same amount of protection or more. And the more plated ones, you tend to have, like, the more individual plates tend to have more coverage of the plates while trying to retain the same amount of movement by having like lots of chainmail between connecting them all. But the problem with that is a lot of these plates are really small, so it wouldn't really the energy wouldn't get redirected over a large plate. It'd all be at that one plate. and that would tend to be easier to pierce that small plate than the big plate. Because the big plate, the energy is more evenly distributed when it hits. Anyway, so cool, cool technology, and they also had a lot of cloths used in armor. Uh, like people talk about like the whole silk arrows, and like Todd from Todd Workshop did some stuff where he showed, okay, the silk by itself, you need a lot of layers to really stop the arrow. But he was also using like really strong arrows. And if you're using like less strong non-crossbows and lots of layers of silk, and maybe chainmail on silk, that could be enough. Like even just like chainmail plus a few layers of silk, even on like a stronger bow, it'd pierce the chainmail, but that would A, help dull the tip of the crossbow, and B, going through the silk with the dull tip, because like how sharp the tip was really mattered for piercing it. Um, it would go in, but it probably only go in like a little bit, and then you could help pull it out with the silk. But so it's part miss, part not miss. But the old like silk would stop arrows, and you could just pull the arrow out thing. Like little bit miss, little bit fix, and all jumbled. But the silk alone, you need a ton of layers to the point where it's like not gonna stop it. But people did wear a lot of silk armor, and besides arrows, it was also useful for other things because like it would help with blunt damage. So anything that helps with blunt damage in a melee is gonna be good, right? Even if it doesn't stop an axe or whatever. And not a whole lot of stuff is going to stop an axe. Like, even if you have a shield, a lot of times, like, the axe will go through the shield. It might not go all the way through the shield, but it might go enough that it still hits you to do at least some damage. So it's like, yeah, like, some things you just can't guard against, some things you can. It's a mess. There's no, like, surefire, perfect, whatever. Like, sure, there's quote unquote bulletproof or bullet resistant armor, but like you shoot it with enough bullets, it's gonna fail eventually, even if it's bullets that's qualified to stop. And sometimes, like you don't even have to shoot a ton of bullets. Sometimes it'll just be like one bullet will hit it just the right spot, and it's like, oh, I'm dead, or hit somewhere where it doesn't cover. It's like armor is sort of the same thing. It's like old armor, new armor. It's like there's always gonna be weak spots. There's always gonna be trade-offs, and if you like have some super heavy armor. Like, fuck, what king was it? There's a set in the Royal Armory. Royal Armory? Or the Wallace Collection? It was the Wallace Collection. And it belonged to one of the kings, and it was like specifically for fighting in tournaments and in the melee. And it weighed like a stupid amount. It was like close to 100 pounds. It's like stupidly like it's crazy, and it's sort of used as like the example of like armor you would never wear into combat because it's so heavy and tiring to wear. It's ridiculous because like and it only would make sense if you're putting it on, doing that fight, the sword fight, and then immediately taking it off, and you knew exactly how long the fight was going to be. Uh, there was a fight over here. Grab that. Huh. Worth 100, okay. So, ton of ninjas and one red saber. Wonder where all the other red sabers are. Did kill a lot of them. Anywho. So besides the whole like weight thing of the actual antiques that were used and like the whole like what type of armor people were using, like the argument that having a double-headed axe is like no purpose is something you very quickly realize isn't true when you actually hold them, because there is this, if you've ever seen a sai, uh so a sai is a weapon that is used mostly to as like a pairing type weapon, used to block enemy swords and trap them. That's not that valuable. So if you look at a sai, right, and you put the cross guard of a sai over a double-headed axe, especially one that has a tip, because some of them have like a spear tip, right? Put that over it, you'll see that the axe head and the sai fit perfectly. It's literally that, but it's also, not only does it have that in the top, it has a sai-like thing at the bottom, only with the stick for the, you know, side, the blade of the sai. So like it can be used to trap enemy blades, and it can be used to do it in a double-headed version way better than a single-handed version. And a single-handed version is really not that good. Sorry, single-head version, not hand. Why am I saying hand? Anywho, it's very, very different experience using a single-head version, because you can still hook to a degree, but you can't really use the top of the axe to hook. You can only really use the bottom, and using the bottom and the shaft, and depending on what you're hooking, if it's a sword blade, well, now your weapon's positioned in a way where you can't really do anything with it to block them just taking the blade down the shaft and hitting your hand. And if you have the double-headed axe where it's like has the big U on top, you can get the blade stuck in that and then twist it a bit, and all of a sudden, like, they can't pull it up. They can only push and pull it, and they have to pull it out. But during that period, the weapon's trapped, and you can kind of control it. You put both hands on your axe and sort of twist the sword out of their hands. You can put both hands on the axe, or have one hand on the sword, ideally, and use that to sort of force their sword somewhere, and then untwist your axe and hit them with it before they can move the sword anywhere to block. And that's like, trapping enemy weapons is like, there's tons and tons of weapons and armor that have done this throughout history. Like, you have shields meant to do this, you have swords meant to do this, you have knives meant to do this. It's sort of like a big deal, because for the longest time people have understood, hey, if I can trap and control your weapon, that gives me an opportunity to do stuff. And that's good. That's really good. Alrighty. And that's something that you can do as a double-headed one that is like a reason to do that over the tip, where you just have like a ice pick like tip coming out of it on one side and then an axe on the other. And if you do that, you can't use the axe to bind with nearly as well. But you get a tip that's very good at piercing armor, but it's very good at piercing a specific type of armor, which would be plate. And versus chainmail, it's like they're both good. I prefer the curved bit because the tip will go in deeper, but the curve will create a larger wound. And I would prefer the larger wound, because that's more likely to hit something that'll cause a lot of bleeding than the deeper one, in my opinion. But I'm not a doctor. But that's something where it's like, at that point, it's very like, what do you prefer, not what is objectively better. There was like some British doctors who were like, you should stab, not thrust, because more stab wound people died than the cuts. And so don't cut, stab. And that's something where it's like, you're only looking at one thing. You're only looking at one metric. And it's slightly more complicated than that. But that is a good metric. But it's also good metric using specific weapons that can like thrust all the way through you, and you're not gonna use an axe with a spike on one end to thrust all the way through somebody. You're not gonna go all that deep with that point. Yeah. Anywho, lots of ram about axes, but uh, they were used in what is now Iran, Afghanistan, Pakistan, parts of India, and I've seen two main versions. A shorter version with his usually with a shield, and especially by cavalry, because cavalry like to wear armor a lot, and this is something that you could like you could attach with like to your belt, right? Put the shaft into your belt, have a shorter one, or through a belt on the horse's saddle or whatever, and pull it out, attack with it, put it away when you need to, right? So you have that functionality, sort of like a sword and a scabbard. It's not quite the same, but people have been fasting ways to attach axes to belts and saddles forever. You can do it. What is this? Okay, experience. That's what that is. Anywho, so useful that way. It's better against armor than a sword, and a lot of the guys would also have a sword, but it's something that you could use against unarmored people, and it would still work for it pretty good. Like, you hit me with a sword, you hit me with an axe, either way, I'm probably gonna die. Try to hit me with like armor-piercing weapons, and I'm not wearing armor, you're probably gonna be able to move faster than me with my big, heavy armor-piercing weapon. So, like, if I go after you with like a war hammer, like if I'm not really close to you, it's gonna be a lot. You might be able to just stay at a distance, and these hammers weren't huge. You know what I mean? So if I have something like a mace or like a warhammer, it's not gonna be all that long. And if you can just keep distance and attack me from with a bigger, like a longer weapon, I'm kind of in a pickle. And you can probably outspeed me because you're not carrying around heavy armor and a big, warhammer. Which weren't all that big. Like usually they're like 18, 24 inches on the high end. Well, except some of the Indian ones. I've seen some really big Indian ones on Talwar hills, and they did a trick. So they'd have like a pipe, and inside the pipe would be hollow, and then they put a piece of wood in there. So, and then they would attach that to a Talwar hilt using uh, a type of glue. Bad about a type of glue called cutler's resin or cutler's pitch. And cutler is somebody who makes knives. And it was used a lot in making knives, and it was also used a lot in swords, especially Indian swords. They loved it. And that was used a lot, and also sometimes they would rivet the shaft of the mace on or hammer on to the talwar hilt, and sometimes it'd be like a more traditional talwar, sometimes it'd be more like a basket or Hindu basket hilt to talwar or khanda or farangi or whatever you call it. Farangi means foreign, and a lot of the farangis were on the Hindu basket hilt. And I've heard someone say that only the curved ones are khandas, and then the other ones are only the straight ones are khandas, and the curved ones are tulwars. But that guy provided no evidence, and then went on to go about like stainless steel swords. So I don't really know if that guy knew what he's talking about or not, but he is from India. So maybe, maybe not. I don't know. Verbal history is kind of like some cultures do it really well, some cultures, especially in America, don't. Like, when someone says this is a Civil War sword, it usually is. Usually. Like, when it's like a family sword they've had forever, and it's like, so and so told me this was used in the Civil War or the Revolutionary War. It's almost always not the case. There are tons of them that are, like, it is the case sometimes. There are a lot of them. But, like, there's a stupid amount of stuff from World War One and World War Two that I ID'd where it's like, this isn't what you say it is. Not because you're, purposely lying or whatever. You just don't know. Is okay, but like, don't sell it as that thing that it's not, because that's fraud. Fraud is bad. Okay. Anywho, axes. Yes, I ramble quite a bit. I like swords, if you can't tell. And I like axes, if you can't tell. Anywho, pretty pretty interesting history if you dig all into it, and what's like that and the maces and all the other crazy stuff. Like, especially in India, like India's crazy. Like, every time you see something and think no one would do something that crazy, you look at something in India and are like, oh wait, never mind. Like, they had a hat, and the hat looked like some sort of crazy wizard hat, and they would take these things called chakram, and it basically like looks like a giant disc, like you'd throw for disc golf, but with the center missing. And they would sharpen the ends of the disc and then put it on their hat. It looks like a giant wizard hat, so that it all just sit on top of their head. Like, just pick up one off of their hat and throw it at people from a distance. It's like a spinning disc, and the whole disc is an edge. And they just have a ton of these. And the good and bad parts of it, no matter what side of it hits, it's gonna cut really well. And has a fair amount of weight, and because it was a disc and spinning, it could go a fair distance, and if it hit something, it tended to bounce off of that and then hit something else. So if you throw out a big formation of people and they all have the shields up, anything that hit a shield would just bounce, and then hit something else, and then hit something else, etc. So if you're throwing out something where there's a big formation of people and not a lot of them have shields, a lot of times it even bounces off people sometimes. But because it was bouncing all over the place, it creating cuts, even if not all the cuts were like lethal, they could be debilitating. They could hurt your ability to fight. And that is extremely valuable in a war. So they just, you just see an enemy and then everyone would just take their fucking fancy hats, grab a ton of chakrams and just heft them at the enemy formation. And there'd be like a million flying little saucer disc things that are just one giant blade in a circle. There's tons and tons and tons of them, all flying towards you and just bouncing all over the place. And it's like, it's chaotic, it's crazy, and it's like no one else in the world ever tried anything like this, other than India. But like, hey, as like a melee thrown weapon, it's sort of like like, what would be similar? You could do like a Francesca throwing axe or a tomahawk, right? Tomahawk would probably do more damage when it hits, but if it hit your shield, it's not gonna like bounce all over the place. If it, you know, and you also have to hit with the blade. If it hit with not the blade, then it's not gonna do any damage. It might cause a bruise, you know. But you kind of have to hit with the right part. You have to hit like the right way. If you're like, it takes skill to learn how to throw axes. Like, it actually does. Like, I've thrown a fair number of axes, and I'm not any good at it. It does take some skill. I don't have it. I suck. But throwing a disc, like, if you've ever thrown a frisbee, you can throw a chakram. You know what I mean? Like you don't have to throw it super accurately if you're throwing at a big group. You don't have to hit with a very specific part of the blade because it's all blade. You know, it doesn't take as much skill to use, and you can also have like a chakram between your, thumb and pointer finger, and then another one between pointer and middle finger, and middle and ring finger, etc., and throw like a ton of them all at once. Because why not? You know, why not? Why not throw multiple chakram at once? Why not? You know what I mean? As soon as they're in range, boom, throw a ton of them. If you can throw like 5 from one hand, 5 from another hand, like why not? You know, really. Did they do this? I don't know. I haven't seen any sources in English because everything's in Hindi and the 100+ different languages. Uh, and a lot of the modern Indian history is not super reliable. There's a lot of weird stuff in there, and it's going through a weird period where they're like it's very revisionist, which isn't really the point of history. But it's a lot like there's pure history and that like people there that like care about getting like the facts right and care about the history of it, and there's also a lot of people who are more like concerned with how does this make India like look or whatever, with um sort of alien to me, like an alien like way of thinking, like don't really approve, but whatever. Like history matters. Anywho, so there's some of that going on. So you kind of have to like look at the source and look at what they've said, and then like check lots of source material and like really look into stuff for Indian stuff. Just because there is a lot of stuff with like super revisionist and super like everyone in the world, this is history, and then you go to read like the Indian version, and it's like completely different, and it's like, why? Because India has to be the center of the universe in this version of the history, and it's sort of like, why can't history just be what it is? Like, history is what it is. It's what happened. You know what I mean? Like, stop trying to revisionists. Like, your country did good things, your country did bad things. If you don't like it, well, that's what happened. You know, like I'm not happy about some of the stuff my country did in the past, like the Trail of Tears. Like, what the fuck? That's genocide? You know? Like, there was a school in Florida which was a re-education camp for American Indians, and the motto was kill the Indian to save the man, or they had to, like, they wanted to destroy all like American Indian culture, make it so they are not allowed to speak their own languages, and make it so they're not allowed to see their own families and like all this other stuff. And like it was fucked up. It was really, really fucked up. And like nowadays you can look at that and be like, oh yeah, what are you doing? But back then it was normal. And that's that's what history was. Like there's all this stuff you'll find, and you're not gonna like it all, and you can't like just whitewash it or whatever to be what you want it to be. It is what it is. I mean, you can try, but fucking stupid. And like when you don't remember your history because you decided I want history to be different because this version of events, makes us look better or whatever. Uh, you are living in a fantasy world, and like when comparing your fantasy to someone else who's not living the fantasy world's reality, like you're gonna lose because they're living in reality and you're not. And when that matters, like for instance, if you're looking at past events to try to figure out like we have a problem, we need to look at our history to help us solve this problem. But your history is wrong, then you can't learn from past mistakes and whatever, or not mistakes, because you don't know what really happened. And that puts your whole culture at a disadvantage to someone who's like, yeah, we did this, we tried this, it didn't work. And now you don't have to try it again because you already know it didn't work. Like communism, like we tried it. I say we, humanity tried it. It really doesn't work. Like, where has it ever worked? We've got, let's see, current communist countries. We've got North Korea, we've got China, we've got Cuba, and two other countries I can never remember. I think one of them is in South America and one of them is in Africa. And it's hard to remember because there's nothing memorable ever happens in those countries. At least not in modern times. I'm gonna have to look it up on Wikipedia later. Gonna drive me crazy. Anywho, axes are cool. Maces are cool, especially the Indian ones. uh, Speaking of Indian ones, they also had one of the craziest blades you'll ever see. Google the Sosun Patah, Sosun space Pattah. Some of the like super curvy ones that are like really really thick, it looks like a snake or something. It's crazy. Like it's curved forward and then back and then forward. Well, some of them. Some of them it's just curve forward and then back, and it's insane. It's like a yatagan, but they tend to be more. They tend to turn to curve up to 11. They're like yatagan's not curved enough for us. It's just more. And unlike the yatagan, you also see like Indian basket. Oh, why is he going so slow? Hungry, right? Yeah, probably hunger is part of it, and it's probably lowering his athletics. Alright. Why are you hungry? What is wrong with you? We have food and Jolteon. Trade with Jolteon. Alright. Hammett, get one of these. Two of these. I'm just gonna get you, some of that. We are almost out of, not saying now. We are almost out of meat. So, some of you are hungry. That was quick. Hey, Southern Patata are awesome. They're not, well, they're one of the cool ones. There's also a sword that's very similar idea, but forget the guard. We have like a guardless version, and the guardless version is this massive two-handed one, and the blade is like dull at the end. And it's somewhere between like a Sozen Patah and like a Claymore or a Zweihander. It's big. And it was used by the Assam Yes, the Assam. ASSAM. I was gonna say Ashanti for a second, but I was like, wait, no, that's that weird tribe in Africa / Game of Thrones. Or that's like how I remember them. They're in Game of Thrones, except for the Ashanti in Game of Thrones are like completely different. Which is kind of a shame. It'd be cool if like the Ashanti in Game of Thrones were the Ashanti in Africa, and this like, cause like modern day movie, they're like, we need to have like X amount of, all the different races in there. Well, like there's an actual tribe of actual people called the Ashanti, and they have Ashanti like spelled exactly the same way, and not a lot is known about them in Game of Thrones. But there's like a real Ashanti tribe. They could have just used people from the actual Ashanti tribe. And that would be kind of cool because it's like the same Ashanti tribe and like almost nobody's ever heard of them unless you're like into swords and are like, hey, they have some really cool swords. I mean, unless you're specifically into African swords, like they're extremely obscure. Like, anyway, they're not as obscure as the Assam, which are a tribe in India that is also extremely obscure, but really, really cool. Hello. Show me what you got. Alrighty, we should probably start by going over here and being like, yes. Yeah, 720 each. Okay, he's got 25k. Never mind, he's got he's got nothing. Alright, so ooh, that's a good helmet. So that's a much better than, well, actually you have a high one. You have a good one. Who else is wearing this helmet? You have a high one. You have a high one. Keck, can't afford it. I do not want to sell that. I was gonna move it. You are someone I want to give this to. Alright? Because, yeah, reasons. And, wait. Oh, right, I forgot. Alrighty. And we need to get these guys stuff. So he, ideally, do you have better grade? Yes, you have mercenary. You have specialist leather? You do not. So heavy armor, very big negative to crossbows. But the armored rag also have a pretty big, it's 8. But we got 0.9 for mercenary leather. So I'm probably going to go with that. And this one's not as good. What else? A good one. Toss that. For pants, we ideally want to use samurai hide or better, but I don't see any better. Samurai hide is. Because no negatives pops. You do want a shirt for this guy. And you do want a hat. This is not really the best place to go for a hat. I have to go to the other place. This doesn't have any negatives, and it's medium grade. So, but it's not like the greatest helmet. Ideally, I'd use something else. I'm not gonna find. Ooh, specialist holy plate. That's kind of tempting. I don't really like the holy plate as much as like where is? Do you have samurai? No. Do you have mercenary plate? No. Okay. Well, who had? Okay, you got special. So 44.52. So more blunt, right? Both at 90% efficiency, 95%, sorry. So slightly better efficiency, but more blunt resist. They're both at 70 for cut resist. So, and 71 for harpoon, 71 for harpoon. So very similar, 1 kilo difference, right? The main difference here, like the effects, like stealth is the same, right? Crossbows is basically the same, slightly better over here for crossbows. Dodge is the same. Combat speed is basically the same. Dexterity is This thing has a negative dexterity. Where's the negative dexterity over here? Does it have one? I don't think it does. I don't think it has a negative dexterity. So this doesn't even have the negative dexterity. The assassin, same. So -8 to melee, -10 to martial arts. This has -10 to martial arts. It does less to melee, right? This is -8, this is -4, but also has a defense negative. And mostly, like, even though it has more resistance, right? It's got, like, it has more efficiency, it's got less resistance for blunt. So that puts it about the same blunt. And this is a little bit higher for cut just because of that 5% more efficiency, right? But the main difference here is coverage, right? You got 100% chest and 85% for your stomach, legs, and arms, right? Over here, you got very, very little arm coverage. You got 25% for the right, 25% for the left. Meaning that the only other arm coverage you're going to get is from your shirt. And this isn't going to cover it much. So arms, going to be a problem. It does have stomach covers 100%, which is great. And it's got chest covers 100%, which is great. But it's got very little for arm, very little for the legs. This does have none for the legs, but it has a lot for the arms. Which, for me, is a big deal. Because if your arms go out, you can't pick up people. You can't use two-handed weapons. You can't fight if you lose both arms, right? So not being able to, like, losing arms are a big, big, big deal. And this doesn't protect your arms very well. It does protect your legs a better than this one. But if you, like, you still have your pants, right? This is 100% leg coverage. And the less stomach armor can be helped by having leg plating, right? And then you also have this underneath. But there isn't a lot you can do for arms. You can wear leather that covers your arm or full chainmail that covers your arms. But that's the leather's like not as good, and the chainmail is heavy because then you're wearing heavy plate and also heavy chainmail and also pants. So you can go full heavy, but you then like if you do that, you're gonna get 185% arm coverage, but it's a lot of weight. But with this, you're getting the arm coverage, and you can rely on something else for legs. And with this, you're getting very, very little arm coverage. And it gives you more for your legs, but you're going to wear pants anyway. So it's something where I feel like this isn't as good just because of that arm coverage, because of how important those arms are for being able to fight, pick up people, and use two-handed weapons. Because, like, if he loses one of his arms, no matter which one, he can't use this. He's stuck using, punching. And that's, like, huge. But, that being said, it's less huge on these guys because they have so much HP on their arms. It still, like, sucks. But, yeah. Anywho, long ranty rant. You can go away. High grade. We got a standard over here. Do we have any really good anything? Got a high grade from our rags. I think you already have high grade. It's not really an upgrade, people. Upgrades, people, upgrade. Alright, so we could. Oh wait, doesn't somebody have some like piece of something? No? Whatever. Alright, so we could sell some of this stuff. Or we could save this for somewhere where we can't sell the drugs. Because we could sell drugs here. And we can't sell it just anywhere. So I'm going to do that. And oh look, you're out of money. And this is open 24/7. This is open 24/7. This is open 24/7. What isn't open 24/7 is here. Also steps. Who is it? Umbreon? Yes. Yes. Who had that armor? It was, I think, one of the robots? Yes. Change directory to C. So, C would be like your C drive. Alright, Greenie. Hello. How are you? Alright. So, he needs... Oh, they don't have... I want a master grade for the cross, and I'm also going to need long boys. I have all the long boys now. So this is the best one, but I don't want a high. I want a better than high. Oh, right. So he had 29k. Now he has lots of drugs. That's it. I told you to go in here. Oh wait, oh I get it. Cause I told the guy you're carrying to go somewhere. No. Easy path. Alright. Oh look, he already has some hashish. Keck. Sometimes it takes a while for them to get money again. Some of the traders get money again immediately, some of them don't. I think it's probably a coding problem where how quickly they refresh is not set to the right number. Or maybe that could be intentional, not a bug, but I think it's a bug. I think it's a bug. Alright, so we got a library map. And another one. Alright. None of the really good limbs. So, we've added spot in the crater, which isn't very useful because the crater is, at the moment, basically a death trap for me. We cannot go there. Oh, and somewhere in Darkfinger. I believe this place here... Was it thinking of Darkfinger has the place full of the named goat? I think this is the one with the named goat. There is a named NPC that is a goat. No joke. It is the only place in the whole game I know of where the goats will just randomly, like, be like, hey, what's up? We're gonna fuck you up. And it's all fucking attack. Once, oh, he's got a masterwork. Oh, he's got a masterwork. Yay! Okay, so I got my masterwork. I'm happy. I want to get him a good walk to Jossie. I'm not gonna find one here. For shame. Shame. Okay. I could get him that. It's light, but I don't really want to. Or think something better. For hats, ideally, we should get one of these big metal hats. These things don't help with perception. Perception helps crossbows. This is flat out hurts your crossbow because it covers your face and your eyes. Good helmet though. Hobbs. I think eventually, like super long term, we want to get Hobbs on one of these. And maybe get someone who's a bug person to wear the samurai helmet. Because these give you resistance to acid. Anywho. I have to get the metal hats. I'm not seeing any metal hats. I cry. I think the metal hat would do pretty good on Greenie for crossbows. Oh, right. Drugs. How could I forget? The whole reason I'm here. Alrighty. You're out of money. That's okay. You don't need money. Alright, so global pacifier from Western Hive Folk and Easel. Show me what you got. Okay, he's got money. Woohoo! Busted that he had money. Woohoo! Alright, we're at 300k. Alright. Alrighty. So Green's running a bit slow because he doesn't have a backpack. Who could give him a backpack? Who doesn't need one? That's a possibility. Trade. That really reduces weight. A lot. Anywho, we have almost made our way back home. And we now have monies. Oh, look, beak things. Beak thing nest, right? With eggs. Ooh. Put on hold, right? Who will fight? You have reins on, right? So, you will fight. Actually, you don't have pants. You will not fight. Who has low stats and needs to work on them? You know what? Chad. Do it back. Okay, Hobbs. That's 2, 3, 4, 5. Too late. Go back up, Hobbs. And there we go. And you, no, you, yes, range. Okay, never mind, back on hold. Alrighty. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Say you 5. Hold off. Okay, you take that one, you take that one. If they're too close to each other, we're gonna have overlapping problems. Alright. Then you take the far one. You know what, we need to unhold all of you. 1, 2, 3. 2, 3. 2, 3, 4. No one's on hold. Nope, he's on hold. Okay. Lots of damage because lots of beak things over here hitting my boys. But, we'll be okay. I hate big things. You will be the one. Let's see. That one. Oh, right. First aid. Alright. Repairs. I don't have massive limb damage. Probably some of them split. Okay. This is taking a hot minute. I think we want to trade with you. Yes? Okay, you have meds. You have meds. Some of you are running low, I assume. Not too low. Okay. I think we're done. And now we need to pick up those who aren't getting up. Not you, you're carrying someone, you're carrying someone, you're carrying someone. You. You. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. And then keep the animals here for now. Have player on do that. And green. That 168, that's crossbow glory. That's why crossbows are cool. Don't think we, I don't pass out. Oh, wait, no, Stubbs. Stubbs passed out. Grab this and, wait. I think I looted that one. I looted that one. I looted that one. No, I didn't loot this one. Alright. I think that's all of them. This is kind of crazy. Like, beak thing raids. Like, the more you think about it, the more you're like, why would anybody do this? This just sounds like a inefficient suicide. Isn't there, like, a better way to kill yourself than raiding beak things? Suicide with extra steps. And very, very dangerous. Do not do this early game. Unless you have the speed and ability to juke. Then, I guess do whatever. Man. Horse chopper. Ooh. Moon cleaver. Not Umbreon. Glaceon, right? Alrighty. We have mission completed. Hold off. Dark. Boring night. Then came daytime. Slightly less boring. You could use some training. You. You. Sure. Sure. Like, we are bees. We move fast. They don't. Like, we're little bees running around them. And they are very slow. Fine. And then... Okay. Whatever. I wish you didn't have to automate as much, No, you don't have to micro them much, getting them to dodge attacks when they could literally just see, oh, an attack's coming, I can just run away. Like, I wish that was a little bit more, like, done, as, like, when you have enough athletics plus whatever, and they're attacking you, you can just dodge it just going the opposite direction once they start to attack. Because, like, if you ever seen somebody with, like, a Zweihander, like, you can tell when they're going to swing, where they're going to swing, a lot of that stuff. It's not, like, super, like, stealth. Hello. Alright, he's got big backpacks. That's exciting. Didn't I take away the backpack from somebody? You. You now have a big backpack. Another big backpack. Exciting. You can have it. Alright, and we have a we have a high quality. Ooh. Exciting. Aslan hat's not bad. It's not great. It gives you better perception and some resistances to stuff like dust and acid. This is decent for this guy, but still not like amazing. You got any longbows? You don't. Do have some maps. Let's see. Alright. Yeah, I'll get this. And do I want to get some of these books? I'll get 20. One. Alrighty. He's broke. Let's see. Yeah. Place here. Alrighty. Oh, right. Two. Actually, I should dump all these books while I'm here. And dump you. Alright. Anything else I want to dump? I don't think so. Yes. You. Wait, are you... The normal size? That's the big size, okay? I want to dump the big... yeah, I want to put the big one in. And dump the small one. Alrighty. You go here, dump that. And dump that. Okay. Who the hive are you? Who does not have a shirt? Okay. Not like 100% solved all my problems, but it helped. While we're here, we should buy this. Yes. And we should, repair. So for repair, we need stuff we don't have, presumably. Let's also probably stop by here real quick. We sell stuff to sell. Hello. Potion seller. So, one. Yeah. Huh. And you can't afford that. Okay. What you could do is that. Right. 53. Okay. We need to trade inventory. I guess we do need more of these science books. Okay. Show me what you got. Yes. Feels a little bit weird trading a book for leather. Like, what do you make books out of? Leather. Or paper. In the old days, leather. Oh. So, there is a book in a museum I've been to that's somewhat famous. And the reason it's famous is because it is one of the few Bibles made with human skin. Much like how the Nazis did their deal with like the skin of Jews. They'd like kill them, skin them, and make stuff out of it. 'Cause they're like trying to dehumanize them and treat them like animals. Like uh, uh. All right, we need building material. That's building material. I don't think any of these guys have it. I think all of it is in the base. So I'll put this in here, finish real quick, then come over here. Do fast boy. Alrighty. You have a small one. You can now have a. You got a trigger, right? And we need a lot of these. We should the armor in here to get rid of stolen. still have the faxing, but it'll no longer say stolen, which is useful. Have I been checking all the hoods? I don't remember. That's this color. Alright. There's a bug for sure. This one, her cross was it. Yes. God damn it. Whatever. There are other bugs. And what else? Do we just not have a lot of weapons? I guess we don't. I think I already did this for a lot of things. Now I can just get rid of stolen from a few things, and only did so. Alright. Now, let's turn off jobs. Alrighty. Just quickly going through small bag. Let's see if I have any more bigs. And you can do that. Okay. The Tower of Stove Garden. Alrighty. Alrighty then. Don't think I need anything else in here. Inventory. Books. Alright. So. Probably battery capacity too. Yeah, makes sense. That makes sense. Okay. Should be everyone. build that over here. And you need to come over here. You have a job already. So they'll get that build up real quick. He's doing his tech thing. And this is going to finish in a second. Got plenty of building material left. Just gonna put that. Oh, well, this is a sieve, not a small sieve. Alright. We got that. And Achilles. Great. That was weird. I think this is probably a good place to end for today. We've done a lot of things. We've traveled from the swamp here. We've got lots and lots and lots of hashish. Sold all of it. Collected a lot of gear along the way. Sold most of it. And probably the most important thing, well, not most important, one of the most important things, we did a beak thing raid. So there is 19 eggs at 4,200 each, right? That's 80K, and we're already at 358, so it's gonna be over 400K, maybe even 500 with all the other stuff. So by the time we sell all this, we're gonna have like serious money, enough that we can go buy a ton of robot limbs. And while we're at it, we need to stop at the Holy Nation in terms of people in. But that can wait for another episode. This has been Kenshi 101, episode 22, I think. See ya.